Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts, I can make a difference to your life. A little bit more information before we pop on over to the podcast. So we're currently residing in the stunning province of Almeria in the south of Spain. As an extension of my mentoring and life coaching services, I'm now offering 4-night retreats tailored for women who are ready to prioritise themselves. So if you're a woman and you're interested in spending quality time with myself and 2 other participants, please visit my website for more details. Additionally, for business leaders and coaches who wish to have their own retreat here in Spain with their clients, I handle all of your logistics, including airport transfers, accommodation and meals for your group. If you'd like to request a retreat proposal, kindly send me an email. You'll get all of my contact information in the description below. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another Effortless Attraction podcast. Well, today I am joined by a very handsome man. I can see him. I have the luxury of seeing him. And his name is Benny O'Hanlon. Now, I normally read a big long bio, and there is a big long bio on Benny, but I'm going to read the bit that I really loved out of this. Benny has achieved many things because of 2 simple theories. He believed in himself and never gave up when the going got tough. Benny is totally convinced that anyone can achieve anything they want in life if they believe that they can and they are prepared to work for it. Now, I am doing no more introduction only than that. I'm going to let you tell us the many things that you have achieved, Benny, if you can sum it up in a matter of minutes.
Oh, well, I've achieved a lot of things. But the most important things that I've achieved is contentment. And people say I'm aged. I'm 64. I'm going on a bit, but I'm very happy with my life, and I'm very happy with my business, and I'm very happy with the decisions that I made that brought me here. So that's my biggest achievement, is contentment. And a lot of people are chasing it, and they don't realise that that's what it is.
Well, there you go. You see, I think it takes us a wee while to realise that, but I guarantee you, Benny O'Hanlon, that was setting out in business, because the day's show is business mindset and belief in yourself, and belief you must have had in abundance. So Benny is the CEO, the all of Todd Sleep. You've received so many awards, Benny. It's not even the activity centre that you do. You're involved in a lot of charities. You have several businesses going. You've done your rallying.
Yeah.
You're very backward and coming forward. And I know the titles don't make us. But for the sake of the podcast, and for anyone really mostly that is contemplating setting up business, and we're going to get to the belief bit in a short while. But if someone was to say, what is it that you do? Could you tell us?
What do I do? I enjoy myself.
You're an awkward sort.
I enjoy myself. I work fairly hard. Some people say I work extremely hard, but I've been described as an alcoholic, and I probably am. But I really, really enjoy working. I enjoy getting out of bed early in the morning, and I enjoy getting up and getting at it. And things don't always go your way, but I enjoy getting over problems and overcoming problems, finding solutions and making things happen, and so on. One of my big cries with Todd's Leap is I enjoy putting smiles on people's faces. And that's a very succinct statement, but that's a very, very hard thing to do. And if you take Todd's Leap from its inception, recently we figured out that we had over 1 million visitors here when we started. So if you're going to put a smile on somebody's face and then repeat that 1 million times, that's quite a bit of work. Do you know what I mean? And it's easy to sort 1 out and then 2 and then 3. But when you get really into it and the numbers start coming at you and the time goes on, it's very, very hard to sustain that, plausibility and that resilience that makes you want to go. But one of my simple rules is that I treat every day in business like the first day. And I'll elaborate on that now. I'll elaborate on that because anybody knows. And if some wee girl opens a barber shop or a hairdressing, or somebody opens a store, like there's one guy in particular, a very good friend of mine, opened a store locally. And he was, when everybody come to their shop, and he was carrying their shopping out into the bag, and he had umbrellas under the counter, and it was raining. He would have put up an umbrella and held it over your head and carried your shopping out and put it in your car. And he couldn't have done enough for you. And that was his start. That was his first week. And after, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks or 2 or 3 months, whatever it was, the umbrella got broke, and then he quit the umbrella. And then 2 or 3 months later, he quit carrying out the groceries. And so downhill it went from a very, very simple thing as an umbrella breaking. And 2 years into the thing, the dirt was behind the counter, and there was a pile of garbage around the till. And he wasn't that bothered about the dates and stuff. And another year's time, the business was closed and gone, completely gone. And the boy was bankrupt, house gone, business gone, everything gone. And a new buyer bought the business. And we went in to see how they were getting on. And the boy was carrying out groceries and coming with an umbrella. And I says, Jesus, here we go again. And exactly the same thing happened in 2 or 3 months' time. All that novelty wore off. Boredom set in. Fuck this and F that and blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing, the business is on the field. You know what I mean? But that's where your resilience comes in. You have to, every morning is a brand new day. And just because your business is a year old or 2 year old or 30 year old, it still requires the same attention as a day old baby. It just requires your full undivided attention. And last night, which we were doing the Santi run here, and we had a woman was bent out of shape because she was a couple of minutes late and didn't get on the slot she was in, and blah, blah, blah. But we had to fix that. And somebody was saying, why would you be bothered with something as trivial as that? Well, the fact of the matter is, that was a very trivial thing. But for her 3 children, last night was the most important day this year. Do you know what I mean? And they'll memorize that until they're adults. And the woman will think about it a bit. But the children, it's a milestone in their life, meeting Santa Claus. And we had to make it happen smoothly. And it's a very, very small thing. There was no extra points for it. But the woman left with a roaring, good review of what the treatment that she got and the way she was looked after. And that's what you have to do. You have to seek them reviews, and you have to do it on a daily basis. It's never give up.
You're always a great man for delivering a story, Benny. Actually, would you believe, I don't know if I told you this, but you might remember it, the very, very first time, and I always had this dream and vision of, delivering public talks. And I'd booked my talk down in Quinn's Corner. I was so nervous. And you were the man that spoke there that night. I just about managed 10 minutes. Now I could talk on forever. But, I think there's people that are very significant in your life. And I want to say thank you, by the way, in case you'd forgot about that. Thank you so much for the time that you give to me. And you give me really wonderful advice too, on going forward. But that was always something that stuck out. Your passion, very passionate. And some would say you get carried away, maybe that passion with the language that comes out, church slips out of me now and again here as well.
Yeah.
But what would you give us a fine example there, Benny, of what a fabulous story. It just took for the umbrella to break, for somebody to get complacent, and sure, it doesn't make any difference in that. But I work with quite a few people who are contemplating setting up business. Was it everything for yourself that you faced overwhelm, to begin with? Me?
You do. You do. You could get that anytime, Evelyn. That never goes away. You know what I mean? You could get that, like, I can't just give you an example, but, it's what you call the perfect storm. Do you know what I mean? The perfect storm is when 6 or 7 wee insignificant things line up and bang, boom. Do you know what I mean? You have a customer annoyed about an arrangement, and a fuse goes, and there's maybe two people in the kitchen fall out over a damn frying pan or a saucepan or something daft, or somebody out in the garage. And these things, all these insignificant, easy to fix things, all happen at once. Do you know what I mean? And like, if one child spits out the dummy, it's not hard to gather up the dummy and put it back in the child. But if you have a room full of children that all spit out the dummy, right, Christ, you've got a piece of work on your hands, and you do get overwhelmed, and you have to just, Like I always say to the young ones, how do you eat an elephant? You know what I mean? You small, handy mouthfuls. You'll get through it sometime. You'll not eat them all in the one go. Like, so it's the same with it. It's the same. You do get overwhelmed, but you have to just break it down, and you just have to put out the fire, starting with the worst, the fiercest one. You have to just get it sorted out and then go for it. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. It never gets. It's not easy. I enjoy it, but that doesn't mean it's easy. But I enjoy it, and it's like I've, as you know, I've done work with Tony Robbins over the years, and one of the things that I had for years and years and years was serious fear of dentists. And Robbins and me was doing a thing one night, and he says, you know, he says that pain about the dentist. I says, well, he says, that's not the pain entering your body when the dentist gets into your gob. He says, that's the pain leaving your teeth. And that just a paradigm shift, just that one shift, that when you sit in the chair for this man to take the pain out of your mouth. And so instead of saying about the pain that they're doing, you talk about the relief that you're getting after. And it's all changed. It's a totally different experience when you're looking forward to the smooth waters at the end of whatever the turbulence is. So you can't teach it. It's something you find out yourself, and that's where the resilience comes in. And I would say to laugh at people and say, I'm too stupid to give up. You know what I mean? And there probably is some truth in that. There probably is some truth in that. But, you know, when you don't give up, you finish. One of the greatest rally drivers of all time is a fella called Jimmy McRae, Colin McRae's father. And he was asked for sage advice. He'd won some big rally. And he was asked for sage advice about winning rallies. How do you win rallies? He says, well, first, he says, you got to remember, if you want to finish first you've got to finish. And it's the same in business. There's no point in bumbling through the day and making a hames of it. You have to get the thing finished, and you have to satisfy every customer, and you have to get to the end of the day in one piece. You know what I mean? So you have to just keep at it, you know.
Benny, you said there about you love your work, and you're a workaholic as such. I remember, I think you said you might have taken Christmas Day off one time. But listen, there was all that wonderful things with work, but then illness come a knocking. You got a bit of a wake-up call once upon a time. Tell us about that.
Well, it was all systems go, normal day for me, which when you describe it to somebody else, they would nearly say to you, Christ, nobody could do that. But anyway, the plan was, the loose plan in my head was, so the job running in Dublin, and I would go and look after that, and my son would look after the business up here. But we were leaving at 6 o'clock irrespective. And at 6 o'clock, I come up the hall, up and banged on his door, right, lad, are we ready to go here? And the whole thing was set. And about 15 minutes later, he appeared in the kitchen, and he looked out, and the back lights weren't on the Jeep. He says to Patricia, my wife, he says, he's roaring about getting out of here, and he's not away yet. What's wrong with him? And Patricia automatically said, well, there's something serious wrong when he's not ready to go. And they come down to the bedroom, and I was back in the bed. I had took a massive stroke. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I obviously didn't know at the time. I just wanted to go back to bed. Like, it was quite casual. But I took a massive stroke and ended up in Craigavon in the stroke ward. And it was a fascinating time for me, because after, in my recovery, I'd say I slept for 3 months. Well, I did sleep for 3 months, because even in late recovery, I was going to bed like at 9 o'clock at night, and I wasn't opening an eyeball to dinner time and 3 o'clock the following day. And I was totally exhausted on top of the stroke. I had chronic fatigue, and took a long time to get the whole thing straightened up. But the actual illness was a fantastic journey for me. It was an absolutely fantastic journey, and even a spiritual journey. Now, that could have come from the drugs that was being administered, or it could have come from an outer body experience. I don't know where it came from, but I know it was exceptional. And I know I got my eyes opened, and I know that I have no fear of death since that happened to me. And I quote different people about what Martin Luther King said. I have been to the top of the mountain, and I have seen the other side. And there's a lot of depth in that. But it's not my business to preach that to anybody. And I make no attempt to preach that to anybody. I rearrange my life after it. I don't work as hard. I limit myself till a 16-hour day. I don't do any 20s or 24s. So I do limit, and I do indeed. Sometimes I'm actually be home at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, which is unbelievable for me. I do take a bit of time off now and then. I've been on a few breaks. I'm doing a thing. I done that High Rocks thing recently in Spain just for a bit of crack. And I do go to the gym and look after my health and look after my fitness and look after myself. Look after myself. And my life is totally different after post-stroke than it was pre-stroke. And it was, Robbins used to have a favourite thing about, you're working on gas mark 9. He says, what about turning up a wee, Nick? He says, what about going to gas mark 13? And I was at gas mark 20. So my thing would be, when the going gets tough, the tough get tougher. And I've now honed that back a wee bit. I wouldn't just be as eager to push the thing out beyond the boundaries as I was. You know what I mean? But illness will put anybody in their box, and you have to look after yourself. And till a certain degree, at the minute, I'm doing that because I gym 3 mornings a week. I have a really good fitness instructor, personal coach, and we've done them. We do them High Rocks competitions up for a bit of crack. We don't have to prove anything, don't have to win anything, but I just do them because I can. And there's very few over 60s doing them. Do you know what I mean? But I would recommend anybody, especially anybody in business, to take that wee bit of time out for themselves.
Jim said that all the time. He's so appreciative of his fitness and getting out there and getting walking and doing stuff and keeping active. You know, you remind me, I had an interview with Mickey Coleman, and Mickey had a widowmaker. I think it was like a heart attack.
Yeah.
Same scenario. He's released a book there recently. But I love that because, you know what? This is, I think, ordinary country men, successful at what they do. But the same thing applied to Mickey. Not out there preaching, but the same thing happened. Went and had a view, had a good view, and had no fear of death, but a more appreciation of life.
Yeah.
So tell me then, you briefly mentioned, I'll not get too deep into it, some sort of like a spiritual awakening. What do you do then for that? Do you connect in? Do you do a spirituality practice? Do you have gratitude? What do you do for yourself, Benny?
Well, I firmly believe in gratitude. Gratitude is the key to success. One of Robin's most hard-hitting phrases, answers or questions are the answer. Questions are the answer. And it takes a long time to get your head around that. So you have to question everything in your mind and get the answer, not the answer that you want, or not the answer that somebody else wants. You've got to get the real answer. And you have got to look after yourself. So I appreciated after my stroke, the one big thing that I appreciate is my kids and my grandkids. You know, it's unbelievable. I'm actually a great grandfather now. You know, it's unbelievable. 14 grandkids. Like 3 of my grandchildren were working at Tosleep last night, and I'm going, holy Maloney, look at that. And getting reasonable money, you know, for Christmas, and no wild handouts, working hard, and we're passing the thing on, you know, passing on the good values. Gratitude is the number one thing that I would say Irish people probably don't have. Gratitude is the you hear all this begrudgery and all this, look at him and look at that and look at on. I remember a woman saying to me one day, and there was something going on, and she says, I was in the Jeep, and she says, it's all right for you driving that big swanky Jeep. I says, do you want me to get out and push it? You know, what difference was it what I was driving making to her life? But she was a total begrudger. Do you understand? And you have to watch that. Like I'm very grateful that I have any vehicle to drive, and that I can put juice in it and I can go on about my business, and I'm not killed when I get to where I'm going. But people don't realise that. Like you could be killed at the foot of the road in the next hour, in the next half an hour, the next 10 minutes. There's such tragedies and such things going on. We had a special care school here the other day, in Santa, and I said to one of the staff, see anybody that's giving out to you about anything, I said, just take a look at them wee critters there. Just take a look at them. Just watch what they're doing. Look how much they're enjoying their life, and look how important it is to them that they're here, and they're getting tea and biscuits. This they're looking forward to a lot to see in Santa. And then what are we complaining about when you see that? So gratitude would be my number one. Now, you don't always show it. It's hard to show, and you have to be careful. You have to be careful with it as well, that some people can use it against you as a weapon. You know, I mean, you have to watch that. You just have to be careful with it. But gratitude would be number one. That'd be the number one thing. Looking after yourself would be number two. You can't. It's like the oxygen mask on the plane. Put your own on before you help anybody else. If you don't look after your own health, and if you don't look after your own mindset, how can you be? You're no position to help anybody. So you can't help anybody, and that's one of the big things I have now. Is I'm number one in my plan of thinking, not selfishly, but I'm number one because I have to look after myself and look after what I'm doing and think about what I'm doing. So a wee bit like that, you know.
Mm. Well, you know, Benny, people again, like your woman say, you and your big fancy jeeper, look and says, all right, for Benny Hanlon, look, he's running these successful business, he's X amount of staff working from, he has it made, he's doing all right. And people can't see themselves because they place people on such a pedestal. But I do remember a story. Now, correct me if it's not correct either. Before Todd's Leap was even a stone put in the ground, that I heard Benny O'Hanlon stood with a few of his children on a top of a mountain with a bag of chips shared out among the children and said, I'm going to have my business here.
Yep.
Is that true?
That's true, yep.
There you go. See, there's the man's driving the swanky Jeep. The children were all sharing a bag of chips.
That's it. Or a magical mystery there. when like we lived in a council estate house, happiest years of my life. And we were going to build a house, and we were going to do this, and we were going to do that. And I remember one day in Sloane Street and Dungannon, the wee bit down from Eyre Street, I was coming down that hill, and Donnelly Brothers, it was W.H. Alexander at the time, and there was a Range Rover sitting in the window. We were now banged up Capri. And I said to Patricia, I said, see that Range Rover there? I says, I'm going to be driving one of them someday. And she looked at me, she says, yeah, surely. She says, why didn't you say that the both of us were going to be driving one? I says, do you know, I must fix that. I says, the both of us will be driving one. And there was a real big laugh. We're driving it out Capri, and wondering was there enough petrol in her to get home. As you say, getting a bag of chips to share with the children, and now things weren't. We were happy, but poor church mice. But anyway, I remember, and I'm going to go shoot forward about 10 or 15 years, and we didn't have Range Rovers, but we had Land Rover Discoveries, and I had a blue one, and I bought her a green one. And the day I'd come home, I said, do you remember the day we were in Sloane Street? I said, and I looked into Donnelly's window, and you made me change my projection from one Range Rover to two. And she couldn't remember it, but I remembered it. I remembered it. And I remembered that I remembered how much I wanted it. And I remember that when I got it, how grateful I was that I had the health to fulfill that. And I've done that, and we've done that. Like, you know, Patricia has to listen to me all the time. We're going over, and what are you raving about? She'll say to me, we're going to build this, we're going to do this, we're going to build that. Or, what about this here, and what about that there? And we'll do this, and we'll do that, and we'll do the other. And you need that wee checking all the time to keep your feet firmly on the ground. But you said there about being successful. And a lot of people would slag at you about being successful and doing well. I says, hold on a wee second now. I says, Sean Quinn was successful, and Sean Quinn was doing real well. And look what happened to him. So you have to keep your feet in the ground. And it's all right. I don't buy a Jeep or a fancy car to show off to my neighbours. I buy it because I can afford it, and that's what I need to go up and down the road to go to my work. And it's my business. But if you're trying to impress anybody, guess what? You're wasting your time. The only one person you have to impress is yourself, and if you're doing it right, you'll be impressed. I would do stuff with when I'm doing coaching, and I would give you a page. I don't know if I've ever done this with you. I'd give you a page and say to you, write down whatever it is. Write down 10 things about yourself there. I says, whenever you're finished, read them out, and if they're not true, score them out, and if they are true, write them out again. And you end up when the list's finished, there only one or two things on it. You know what I mean? Because you can't write down lies and look at them and read them back to yourself if you're truthful with yourself. So you have to have the gratitude and the reality and the ground that you're doing it sort of half right. And what are you doing it for? And that's a very, very famous thing. My father-in-law's last dying words on his deathbed, and I'll never forget it, a gentleman. And the last thing that he said before he closed his eyes, he looked at us and he says, what's it all about? That's the last thing he ever said. And it's not haunting words, it's really, really, really good words to think. What is it all about? You know, what is all this business about? What is all this work about? What are you trying to prove and what are you trying to do? And I would say that in my instance, I'm working for my family, and I'm working for my family unit, and my own myself. But what you have to body checking all the time. What are you doing it for?
Well, you've mentioned, and all of that there's, listen to all them keywords that just jump out at me. On if this podcast is to go out, whoever is to listen to it, that's thinking of, oh, I could do, I should do, I might do, is that gratitude is a big thing. Belief in yourself. You also mentioned Tony Robbins, so you've invested dearly into yourself too in mentorship.
Yeah.
Bringing a smile to people's face, making a difference in people's life. And that's what the podcast is all about, making a difference in people's lives. Work-life balance with your family, a bit of spirituality through in there as well, a vision. They're all just threw into the one pot. And I think what it all conjures up to be is life experiences, to experience life. We spoke the other day, you were saying, Evelyn, would you believe? And I love when people start, would you believe? Because I would believe when we're talking about, I'd said to you, I always said by the time I turned 50, I'd be sitting in Spain in a house in Spain, which has happened. And you said, well, I had a picture of this rally car on my wall. And he said, guess where it is now, Evelyn? I says, I bet you it's sitting in front of you. But I says, we think that we own stuff in life, but we're really here just to experience it all. And it's the experiences that you're... Yeah, and it's the experiences you're creating, Benny, that's making a difference too.
Yeah, well, and everybody knows about Todd Leap. It's a sort of a very public company in terms of what we do. It's not my biggest company by a long, long stretch, right? But everybody knows about it, and everybody raves about how brilliant it is, and all the awards it's won, and all the rest. But the simple tagline in Todd Leap is putting smiles on people's faces. That's it. That's it. And that's it. We done that last competition. Is on the base was slagging us on the plane. What's your goal? Oh, I'm going to be in the top 5. Oh, I'm going to be in the top 10. I'm going to be. Somebody said to me, "What's your goal, Ben?" I said, "I'm going to finish it." I says, none of you sold are going to lap me. So my expectations weren't as high as anybody else's. But I done what I said I was going to do. I finished the thing, and none of them lapped me. And then I was slagging them at home. Well, you're the only one that got your expectations. So sometimes a finish is better than a first, because you can bust yourself going for first. But if you go for a finish and get a finish, you've won. So set the boundaries, set them sensibly. Like, there's no point in wishing and wishing and wishing you're going to do this. You can't manifest a lotto jackpot into your purse. That's not the way it works. You know what I mean? But you can manifest a new house, because you can get a spade and dig the ground, and you can buy blocks, and you can build a damn thing. So when you have control of anything, you can do it. And it doesn't matter what it is, or how absurd it sounds, or how, like, if I go back to when me and Tish were sitting in that Capri looking through Donnelly's window with Range Rovers, like, it was actually absurd. It was complete lunacy to be speaking with 3 children in the back of the car. The woman was buying clothes second hand in the markets, and we were living hand to mouth, signing on the dole if we had to, a day here and a day there, and doing this and doing that, and cording about trying to live. The youngsters, we were only youngsters ourselves, never mind the children, but it was absurd. If you just look at that youngster saying that they're going to be driving a Range Rover, it was nonsense. Like, and then she says, "Well, so why don't you make it 2?" And the simple thing was that when I made it 2, it became 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was as simple as that. But I says, right enough, I forgot about you. What are you going to be driving? But I still remember that. Because when I looked at the Range Rover, I did believe I was going to be driving. I knew I was going to be driving it. It's as simple as that. I knew I was going to be driving it. And it's the same with that car that I have, that race car. Like, I knew that car would be sitting here, like, and that's it. You know what I mean? And it's a long story how I got it, but that's another story. That's I knew that would happen, but it didn't. Somebody didn't come and give it to me. I had a certain amount of work to do, and I had to find it, and I had to get it, blah blah blah. And I got to the auction, and I knew where it was, and tracked it down, and bought the thing. But that's just the way it is,
Aye, so there's keywords to I knew. I was speaking to ladies there this morning, and one was doing foundation diploma for doing counselling. And I think when we got down to the end of the question, it was really she can't see herself being the end result. Whether there was another lady speaking there and she says, oh, I knew I was going to be that. That's why her course that she was doing at university, even though it was the same challenges, she could get through it because she says, I knew.
Yeah.
I knew the same as I knew. And sometimes it's a case of I don't know how it might happen. I know certain things, but I know it's going to, or something's going to happen or shift, and the right people come in, and things happen, and
Things happen.
yeah, I know.
It's like if I'm working with a football team, and one of the first things I ask them what championship they're in, or what league they're in, or what in, and what's the cup you're after? What's the name of the cup? And quite a few of them will know it, and some of them won't know it. And then I say to them, what weight is it? And I says, if you're, which Jesus is taking this to the primary school to show it to the children? And are you able to lift it over your head? And how are you all going to drink out of it without spilling the wine and the vodka over the place? And they're all going, what's this lunatic on about? But I'm talking about the celebration and what they're going to do with the cup and who's going to take it home. And when they all go in the piss, who's going to mind the cup? And they're going, well, I thought we were here to talk about football. I says, no, you all know about football. I know nothing about football, but I know about winning. And I know the problems it creates. And losing the cup's not an uncommon problem. Now, have you taken steps to make sure you don't lose this cup that you're going to win? And it's a completely different mindset. And the girl that can see herself with a degree, or can see herself with a hairbrush in her hand in her own hairdressing salon, or the lad that can see his own garage with his own lift and his own spanners and his own sign over the door, he'll get there, she'll get there, they'll get there. But the person that doesn't know if it's going to work out, guess what? It ain't going to work out. Simple. They would like the should haves and could haves. There's a particular gentleman who lives not a million miles away from me. And every time, whenever the bank was open locally here, I used to go into the bank, and he'd meet me in the bank once every 3 or 4 months, or just coincidental, it would meet. What way's your thing going? I was going to do that, And he has said that to me. He has said that to me at least 50 times, that he was going to do the business that I have done. And I said to him, why didn't you do it? So I said, sure, it was easy. So I said, you're far smarter than me, and I done it. So you should have done it. And he's way confounded that he should have done it. But it's in his head. You have to get up with your ass. You've got to go and look about the spade, and you got to dig the hole, and you got to put in the foundations, and away you go. And it's as simple as that. Like we have built Tosdeep up from a plain Jane farm into a world resort, and it didn't happen overnight. It took 30 odd years. Like, how did you become an overnight success? Well, I spent 32 and a half years at it. And another 30.
Very good.
We're going to put a lid on it. You know what I mean? So that's the way it works. Like, you become an overnight success if you work overnight and overnight and overnight.
Sure.
And don't stop. Do you know what I mean?
Surely.
That's it. Simple.
I know. And does not 30, I bet you Benny, that 32 years went in right and quick too, when you think
it's a complete blink. It's a complete blink. Like, some of the things that we've done, it's really, really unbelievable. And you would tell people about what we were doing, how we started, and the way we were working, and they'll say, that boy's lunatic coming out with that oil crap. But what happened was tough, hard work, and no excuse, no giving up, and no stopping. And a lot of people stopped just an inch before an inch or 2 inches before. And I've seen it 101 times in business. People have given up in a business, and there's a boom just around the corner. And it could be a shop, it could be hairdresser, it could be any business you think of. And they just stop, and the next thing you know, something happens, and Christ Almighty, they were sitting duck for it. So you have to know when to stop too. You have to know. Like, I'm very, very famous for my old saying, when the horse is dead, you're off the effing horse. Like, you know what I mean? So some people trash a business beyond its death and ruin themselves, and destroy themselves, even financially, emotionally, and then physically. They're just done. So you have to know when to give up. But self-belief is okay, brilliant, but you also need self-truth. You have to have a wee touch of reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my wallet, I have my credit cards, and I have different things, but I have a photograph of my mother. So every time I reach for my credit card, I see my mama. And then you have to think, well, I wonder what she would think about me spending this money, or me. Do I really need this? What do you think, Mum? And you're thinking that's daft. No, well, it is daft, but it works for me. It's a wee reality check. It's a wee reality. Don't get carried away with yourself. And you've seen, and I've seen, people that are thinking they're it. You know what I mean? And people that, as I always say, I said about yesterday, you know what's wrong with, if you're in the rat race and you win the rat race, you know what the problem is? You're still a rat. You know what I mean? So you have to know what your purpose is, and it has to be right, and if there's such a thing, morally right what you're doing, and no what I would call evil transfer or whatever. So what you're doing, your goal has to be morally correct, and has to be doable, and you have to be fit to do it. So there's like we went that competition again, and I went to, like, there was a couple of thousand athletes doing a competition, but every single one of them that came through the door believed that they could do it. And I don't know, I didn't see anybody not doing it. I seen everybody. I didn't see anybody giving up. Now, I've seen some terrible slow times, and I've seen some very bad results, but at least they done it. You know, and they came to do it, and they done it, and that was the category that I was in. I just went to do it and finished it. You know, so you can make all the goals you want in your life, but not dreams. Goals as real. Dreams is not real. So you can live the dream, but you can live reality, and you can, if you put the two together, you've got a goal. So if you want a big, nice, fancy car, well, what size is this car? What colour is the car? Will it fit in your driveway? Have you got a garage to put it in? Etc. Etc. You need to be able to answer all the questions. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have a sports car. What are you going to do with a sports car? Have you ever driven a sports car? You know, like, one of the things that I done, we were in Silverstone at a show right back to Childa was we, and the Lotus Elise was launched, and they were given spins in them, and the damn things broke down. But anyway, we waited for over an hour, and my son was up on a run. I was taking a run, and the next thing, that we were going to be an hour and a half. I'm right and good at numbers, and I figured out we would be standing another hour and a half before we did into this. I said, "Tell you what, son," I says, "we'll go home. I'll buy one of them cars, and we'll have one of our own." And it, again, totally absurd. What are you raving about? 4 years later, guess what? There was one sitting on the street. And that was it. And again, did he remember me saying that in Silverstone? No, he didn't. But I remembered it because I actually meant it. I actually said, I'm going to buy one of them whenever the sting comes out of their tail. You know what I mean? So you can make plans that they're goals if they're achievable. And they need to pass the truth test in your own head. A great thing to do with, if you have plans about something, is write it down in a piece of, you don't need to share it on it, you don't need to do it. Write it down and look at it and read it back to yourself. And then see, is it as smart as you thought it was when you were thinking about it?
Yeah, it's the whole clarity of the thing. You remind me, do you remember, you'll know the name of this. Do you know them tractors for mine? My granda had one of them that you started with the handle. What did you call it? You're a bit like them. Once I got you warmed up there, I says, there's no stopping him now.
No. You
a crankshaft. Is it a crankshaft?
The starting handle. You have to. Life like that. Look, I done a thing recently in the Calgary. I was doing a talk, and this woman came up to me and said, I'm gonna. And our business idea was quite good. It was quite good. And she said, I'll go and talk. I said, come on up anytime and come, and I'll go over it with you, and I'll give you whatever help I can. She just never came. Because she was telling me about the business idea, and I knew it was not too bad. The problem with the business idea was that the person who was telling me about it didn't actually believe in it herself. And so it'll remain a dream. Would it have been successful? We will never know. She never tried it. Do you know what I mean? I have another woman who you know very well, and she met me at a talk one time, and she was thinking, she had 22 years in nursing service done, and she was thinking about this business, and she was wondering would it work. I says, of course that'll work. And she's beautifully successful, and they're fantastically successful. You've actually worked with her. And that came from somebody just believing. And then when I believed, she believed. And that's all it took. That's all it took, was a totally independent person that she didn't know to look at her business idea and say, yeah, that's good to go. And that's what's wrong with most. That's the cause of most failures, is the actual person that's driving the bus doesn't believe they're going to get there. You know, that's it. That's in my opinion. And a lot of things fail for various different reasons, but most businesses fail because the owner gives up.
Gosh, I could sit and listen to you all day, Benny.
Some people
Oh,
have
but I
to.
do love this. I do love this, but I do love the chats, I do love this where it's easy. Do you know, it doesn't say it's not gobbledygook, it's not far-fetched because it's not I love, when people walk their talk. If I was to get graded by something, it's the false prophet. Do as I say, not as I do. I just think if people, and especially people that are doing motivation stuff, walk your talk, show me the end result, let me
Yeah.
believe, and you are the end result of that which you speak about, Benny. And no airs or graces. You'll say it as it is. You shoot from the hip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Airs and graces
And
aren't much good, when you go to Tesco's looking at a loaf. You have to put your hand in your pocket the same as everybody else. You know what I mean?
that's right.
There's you can get the highfalutin thing, and a lot of people do get it. It doesn't serve you well when you start that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It doesn't serve you well, And
Mm.
one of my favorite things I ever hear when I'm in business, and we're in hospitality, and one of the favorite things I ever hear is, "Do you know who I am?"
All right.
And my immediate answer is, "Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody know who this boy is?" Because he doesn't know. You know,
He
so
doesn't know.
he doesn't know. If you have to say that, if
Yes.
you have to say, "Do you know who I am?" If you have to say that, you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I mean? You're living in the false, in a dream, like, you know.
Well, Benny, thank you so much for
No
your
bother.
time today. And I know you're a man of a million quotes.
Yeah.
Leave us with
I,
something
I, I thought I
today.
was getting out to Spain to do this. I didn't think I was
I
leaving
know.
the States.
Well,
I was really looking forward.
do you remember to remember? You've just put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
The
Me
next
over
time
there
you're
last.
over doing your is
Yeah.
it running then that you done when you
High
came to
rocks.
Spain?
It's high rocks. It's a sort of a get fit, keep fit thing. It's a bit of weightlifting and a bit of rowing and cycling and running, and it's a lovely,
What
beautiful thing.
what part of Spain were you in?
We were in Barcelona, Barcelona, and I loved Spain. I
Barcelona.
loved Spain. I worked in Spain, and when I was very, very young, I worked in Valencia and Madrid and Barcelona. I worked in Valencia was my favorite. Valencia, and
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely get back to it sometime for a holiday. But
Yeah.
it's like you're living your dream out there in Spain, and like I remember you starting off. I remember vividly that night that you spoke in Quinn's Corner, and I gave whatever wee bit of support I could, and the thing went down well. And like I said differently, it was you watch this girl go.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I
Oh,
said just watch her
that
go.
actually, I could cry now. It means, Jesus Christ, Effie, now how them emotions intact.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
lovely, Vanny. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Again, there's that thing, that belief.
You have to
There's
have the
that
belief.
belief.
You have to believe. You absolutely and totally have got to sort yourself out. You have to believe in yourself. And the different ones. There's now my father, God rest him, used to have a saying that anybody that was crooked, he says, boys are crooked, aren't they? And there was a boy lived around here before my time, and his nickname was Crooked Anthony. You know, but he was crooked about everything. But Anthony didn't dislike everybody. Anthony actually disliked himself. And that was the problem, but he couldn't see that. And then if you don't like yourself, you can't like anybody. And if you can't live with yourself, you can't live with anybody. And if you can't believe in yourself, nobody will believe in you. So it starts with you. That's it.
And thank you, but for those words, that honestly, my eyes are damp now, so I think
Yeah.
they're tears. Now
Don't worry about
that
that.
means a whole lot. It really, really, really means a whole lot because, um, I don't know. I think sometimes when our parents are absent, it's lovely to hear, I think, words back. I think to myself too, I wonder would mommy and daddy be proud of me, or I wonder, with like a bit like you with your mother, when you go to the wallet, what would
Yeah.
ma say or what would mommy say? And
Yeah.
so thank you so much, Benny. I really, really, really appreciate. That's what I'm going to take away from this podcast
That's it.
after
Well,
all
there it
that
is.
wonderful
Eh,
information.
that's it. That's the way it
Thank
is.
you.
All
So,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, you can find Benny O'Hanlon. He'll be on LinkedIn, and you're about Facebook there in odd time too, Benny.
Not in, I'm not good on Facebook. I'm not good on social media. I should do more. But I have a wee lassie works here. I used to have a big girl, Patricia Toner, done all my stuff for me. Brilliant. She spoiled me worse than my wife. and you do get people that'll do give you everything to help you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but one of my problems in business is I encourage people to find their passion. Patricia has a lovely shoe shop in Cullean, soul sister, and I lost a PA over encouraging her to follow her passion. But that's the way life is sometimes,
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes
Oh,
you're the seagull and sometimes you're the statue.
I want to see more of your motivation. You're very, very inspirational. You should shoot a good, and I know it might not be your full-time thing, whatever you're doing, but I've definitely been inspired and motivated from this. And thank you so much for giving us your time. Anybody that's in the locality of Ireland, check out Todd Sleep. It's
Yeah.
in the wonderful county of Tyrone. There are so many things happening there, from business overnights, females, males,
I always make that simpler. There's great toilets to Todd Sleep if you're ever going past. That's enough, like.
I actually had my first. I done a workshop there. I had my first workshop, I think, up. I did in Todd Sleep. And I remember, so I had people, and we were staying overnight, and I had this fear of heights. And I said, by Jesus, I'm doing things that are going to push me past the fear. But we thought, to finish our beautiful sort of retreat, we would let off these lanterns, the one that you light. And I asked, I said, Benny, would this be okay if we let them off? Well, I'm not joking you. I swear to God, we let the lanterns off and they got stuck in the trees. And I thought, oh, Jesus, we're going to burn down Todd Sleep. Thankfully, the trees are wet. The lanterns burned out. I thought, that'll be it. Never again.
Well, you have to learn, live and learn.
Benny, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you, listeners.
No bother.
I want to thank you for your continued support to Effortless Attraction Podcast. I want to thank my paid subscribers. You make a difference to my work and to my life. And I hope through these podcasts, my mission is to make a difference to the lives of others. But with your help and subscription of £1.99 per month, you really do help support this work. If you'd like to become a paid subscriber, you will find the link in the main profile. Thank you so much.